Yeah, it's, these are two franchises. Sorry, I'm talking about Alien and Predator, where, like, the less explained, the better.
Predator is something I've cared about for a long time now. I have watched all the movies, I've played some of the games, I've taken a small dive into the comics, and I plan to go even deeper in the near future, hopefully. But overall, I think I have a pretty good understanding of what makes Predator so interesting, and why the, like, good core fan base really loves it. I think I understand why the Yautja are so interesting as a species. And I have heard many takes that I heavily disagree with that tell me there are a lot of people online who don't understand the things I understand. Does that make them fake fans? No. Does that make them less of a fan than me? No. Before I start this video, I want to just make one big disclaimer. I don't really care about Critical Drinker as a person. I know there are a lot of people online who love the guy. I know there are a lot of people online who hate the guy. I don't really care. I'm neither of those people. I occasionally come across his content and, watch it out of curiosity. I'll maybe agree with the take of his. I'll maybe disagree. But it's whatever. I don't really care about the guy. I don't hate him. This is not a hate video. I'm not trying to call him evil like some people do. Do I necessarily like his channel? Do I like him? Not really. I think he does partake in the grift. I think he says a lot of shit just to piss people off, and I think that he does say a lot of things just to appease a certain audience. But at the same time, I do think he's a bit more real than other grifty channels out there. I think a lot of the opinions that he puts out are relatively genuine. I think that he does share his honest opinions on certain things, and then on other things he'll just say shit to make money, or it's whatever. I'm not here to call him buzzwords. I'm not here to call him sexist, racist. I don't care about that stuff. I'm not here for the political discussion. I'm not here for the stupid back and forth bickering. I'm not here for any of that. This is not a hate video. This is not a rage-filled video. I am just responding to his opinion because I think it's wrong and I disagree. And if I'm being entirely honest, his name is a pretty big name on YouTube. I've seen this opinion a lot of places, not just from him, and I feel like, this could be a way where I get my opinions out on the things that he says, and it could get me some traction maybe, right? So, yeah, whatever. But with that out of the way, let's just move on.
People can make that argument of, well, who says that every Predator movie has to just be about a big sort of beefy 1980s action flick? Well, no, but like by the same token, if I go and watch a Saw movie and it turns out to be a romantic comedy, then I'm probably not going to enjoy that either. You set certain expectations with your franchise because it's founded on certain ideas. And when you start to go too far outside that, well, you've lost it. You've just got, something else with a Predator suit on it.
This is a terrible comparison. Saw is very different from Predator. Saw is very strict. It's a very specific franchise. There are only so many things you can do with Saw. There's only so many avenues you could realistically go in with Saw. People are expecting a certain thing from Saw because that's really the only thing Saw can offer. Predator, on the other hand, has historically done many different things. Sure, the general concept of, Predator goes to Earth, hunts humans, and gets his ass kicked has still always kind of been there. But if you do look a bit deeper, I know you said that you don't really look into, the comics and whatnot, but if you do bother to do that, you will see how wrong you are with this comparison. Obviously, you couldn't make Predator a romantic comedy, but something like Predator Badlands is not unbelievable. Do I think Badlands is flawless? No. Does it take corny humor too far sometimes? Yeah. Do I dislike the inclusion of Bud, the little alien baby, the little Callisk baby? Yeah, I do dislike that. But there are a lot of things that this movie does pretty good. This movie kinda reminds me of something we would see from the comics, or even from a video game. In Predator Concrete Jungle, the video game, we follow Scarface, a predator who was essentially exiled from his clan because he messed up while on Earth and left a bunch of technology there. In Predator vs. Black Panther, we follow a Yautja who gets his ass kicked by his brother and travels to Wakanda to get revenge by acquiring vibranium to use it against his brother in a rematch. Predator vs. Black Panther essentially makes you kind of feel for the Predator. It makes you feel his humiliation. It makes you truly understand and feel his motivation for going to Wakanda. And in a way, even I am kinda rooting for him. Predator Badlands is a kind of extreme scenario, yes, because this is the first time we've ever seen the Yautja truly portrayed as full-blown characters on screen, on, the television, but this is not a new thing. The Yautja have always been characters, they have always been emotional, they've always been so expressive, and if you can't see that, then I don't think you're paying attention. The concept of Predator, the concept of these tribal warriors going out across the universe to hunt and kill things for sport and for pleasure and for honor. There are so many things that you can do with this concept. Comparing it to something like Saw, which is so much more limiting, so much more restrictive, is so weird to me.
I mean, I get, because this Predator is more, well, if their goal was to humanize him, he definitely is. He's much more expressive, and he's very much more understandably human in terms of his reactions to things. But again, is that what you want from a Predator? Because it's supposed to be thoroughly alien and terrifying and weird and not understandable. Right. And now it is. Now it's just a guy with a slightly fucked up face, basically.
Referring to the Predator like this just kind of solidifies to me that he truly doesn't really get it. Because the Predator is not impossible to understand. It should never be impossible to understand. Making the Predator expressive is not a bad thing. The Predator has been expressive for a very long time. Arguably, since its conception. The thing that makes the Yautja so interesting, the thing that makes the Predators so interesting, is that it is not just another movie monster. It is not just a xenomorph. It is a person. It is a character. It is a living, sentient thing. It is like us, more so like us than we realize. This is why the Predator is so interesting. This is why I love it so much. It's not just basic. It isn't a xenomorph. A xenomorph is this mysterious, alien, impossible to understand creature. A xenomorph is unrecognizable, inhuman. The Yautja are, in a way, human. They are recognizable. They are relatable. They have their own interesting motivations. They have their own culture and society. They have their own way of life. And it has been this way for a very long time. I know, I understand that you say you don't really care much for the expanded media, like comics, games, books, but that is a very important part of the Predator mythos. That is a very important part of the lore. And to just disregard all of that and then argue in favor of these things that you're saying is kind of ignorant, in my opinion. For you to kind of say these things like this is the way it should be, when it hasn't been like that for a long time, no, I don't think so. I think that's a really flawed way of looking at it. You don't really understand the source material. You've seen the movies, I'm sure, but you don't understand the source material where all this stuff came from. Because the movies, you gotta understand something. The movies are, of course, the foundation of the franchise, but they aren't the foundation of the lore. The foundation of the lore comes from the books, the comics, games, all that expanded media, okay? All the expansive media, the expanded universe, right? That's where the lore surrounding Predator truly comes from. That's what makes this franchise so damn interesting. All the stuff in those obscure comics, those obscure games, the stuff that you don't really see on full display in the movies. So for Dan Trachtenberg, who I've already made very clear on this channel, I don't like his style of directing. I think Prey and Kill of Killers are bad. But so for him to reach into that more obscure part of the lore, of the mythos, and put it on the big screen, while it's flawed, while it is, yes, a flawed movie, I do think it is great that he presents it all like this. I do think it is honestly kind of wonderful that he put it out like this. He isn't afraid to shake things up. He isn't afraid to put the more interesting aspects of the Predator universe on the big screen. I truly think that is what this franchise needs.
You know, I think Trachtenberg himself even said, well, you know, people, what's the point in us just doing the same thing over and over and over again, just making the same movie? And I thought you're missing the fundamental point of you probably just shouldn't be making any.
Yeah.
Because you've got nothing to add to it. Like, doing this kind of goofy shit isn't, like, adding to the value of the Predator franchise. And
because Dan is totally right in that quote. We can't just keep doing the same shit over and over again. We can't keep telling the same story over and over again. And then you say, well, the point is, don't make any more. But no, that's stupid. This franchise has so much potential. Like I said, Predator is such a rich universe. It has such an interesting concept surrounding it. The Yautja, their society, their culture, their way of life, it's so fascinating to all of these people that love this franchise. One of the most fascinating and interesting things to, like, the majority, I would argue the majority of Predator fans, is the honor code, is the culture that lies beneath the Yautja, that lies beneath the surface level that the movies show you. In Predator 2, people were so interested when Greyback, the Elder, gagged Danny Glover, the flintlock pistol. The ending of that movie was so interesting, so cool, because it showed us this unique and mind-blowing side of these aliens, these creatures. It showed us that they are more human than we think. They are more of a civilized society than just another alien creature like a xenomorph. And then Predators, we got hints at the clan feuds, the super predators versus the jungle predators, right? All of this stuff is so interesting, and it's only ever kind of barely tapped on in the movies. But meanwhile, in the comics and games and books, like I said, it's so deep in there. All the deeper lore, all of the most interesting stuff is inside those non-movie mediums. So I just find it so weird and so ignorant to kind of ignore those. Again, if those aren't your thing, that's fine. But you have to acknowledge that that is a large part, a large reason that so many like Predator fans love this franchise.
But
it's always bad when you're demystifying these things.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the alien being called the xenomorph, and now we're calling the Yautja, and they literally have dialogue now.
I think this is something that has been filled in a bit over the years. Like, I'm not really into like the Predator comics and the novels and stuff, but like they have sort of filled out the backstory for the Predator race. If you're inclined to go into that, fair enough. It's never really been my thing. Much like yourself, much prefer them to be mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
The mystique around them is much more interesting than the answers that we get. But they've obviously decided to go that route with this.
Yet again, he says here that it's more or less just not his thing. It's a subjective take. He just isn't that interested in all the, the expanded universe, all the deeper lore, right, that you can find in the comics, books, games, etc., right? But the thing is, again, that's just what this franchise is. The books and the comics and the games, the stories that they tell, the lore that they give us, they're all such an important piece of this franchise and its history. Most of what we learn about this universe, about the Yautja, all comes from those comics, those books, all those games, all the things that we know about them, all that comes from there. And they keep doing it because this is the kind of stuff fans want to see. They want to see the Yautja expanded upon. They want to see them grow and evolve, and we want to see what their culture is like and how they operate. We want to learn more about them because they are an interesting species. It's fine to say that this is your personal preference, but I mean, like, you just seem like a surface level fan, in my opinion. You just seem like a guy that's watched the Predator movies and, you appreciated them for the quality that they provided, but you just don't seem to understand what actually makes the Yautja so appealing. The fact is, The Yautja have always had character. They've always been expressive. Deck from Predator Badlands is just a very extreme version. He shows a lot more character and a lot more expression than the previous Yautja. But to sit there and act like the Yautja have never been expressive, like they've never really been characters, like they've never been, what's the word? They've never been interesting beyond their mystique, right? I think that's very wrong, and shows that you just haven't really paid attention to the Yautja in these movies, because even beyond the comics, again, in the movies, we can see that these Yautja are characters. They're expressive. They have emotions. They are more like people than aliens. The first Predator's character is very basic. The Jungle Hunter is a conservative and crafty, cunning killer. He takes his time, he stalks his prey, he learns about them before he advances and strikes. The second Predator from Predator 2, he is a lot less mature than the Jungle Hunter. He is a lot younger, he's more reckless, he runs into fights without a second thought. Notice how the City Hunter gets into more physical confrontations than the Jungle Hunter did. That just proves my point here. You need to pay attention to how the Predators are acting. Pay attention to what they're doing. Mr. Black, the Berserker from Predators, he's a bully. He's an asshole. He's bigger. He's stronger. He's dishonorable. He doesn't follow the honor code. He's just an asshole. During his fight with the Crucified Predator, he spends time taunting him. He spends time essentially, doing the L, giving him the Fortnite dances, all that stuff. But when it comes to him actually fighting, he's not all that impressive. He just relies on his raw strength and power to do things. He's not mature, he's not cunning, he's not skilled, he's just an asshole. Wolf from AVP Requiem is mature, he's aged, he's experienced, he's incredibly skilled. He even takes a moment in that movie to show respect for his fallen comrade, his fallen brother in arms. And you say that these guys don't have character. You say that they're mysterious and impossible to understand. No, they mourn. They do the same shit we do. I mean, the whole concept of the Yautja proves you wrong. They have a whole system of honor that they follow. That tells you they are more human, they are more person than monster. I mean, look at Scar from AVP Requiem. He communicates in a different way, but he communicates with the human protagonist. The human protagonist is able to connect with him, and in a way, bond with him. Because why? He's more human than monster. He's more like us than we realize. That is just what the Predators are. In my opinion, I think Dan Trachtenberg has actually done the worst job at showcasing this. Look at the Feral Predator from Prey. The Feral Predator is just a stupid brute monster. There's no character there. Look at the Yautja from Killer of Killers. The Viking Predator. Stupid brute monster. No character there. The Samurai Predator. Not a stupid brute, but he's just a monster. There's no character there. There's nothing interesting. Look at the Baron, the Pilot Predator. He's probably the most interesting character there out of all the Yautja in that movie, but he's still not really a character. There's still not much there. And then what about the Warlord Predator? Well, he's just kind of like, big, scary bad guy. He doesn't, I don't know, we haven't seen much of him. He doesn't seem like he has much interesting character to him either. Deck is a very extreme example of a predator with emotions and expression. He is like all the way on the other end. He is the farthest we have gone so far. So it can be a little off-putting in some ways, right? Like, the Yautja speaking their language the entire movie was very off-putting to me because I'm so much more used to seeing them communicate through body language and through the noises they make. Like, the clicking and the roaring and, and the way Scar was, making, like, hand signals and stuff in AVP. I prefer all of that. I think that is a lot more interesting as their method of communication than a literal language. But, I mean, the language has been here for a long time. I mean, like you said, all this stuff has been established in the comics and books for ages now. So it's been a part of the franchise for a very long time. But my overall point is, the Yautja have always been like this. To a lesser extent, yes, but the way you talk about them, it makes me think that you don't really understand that. It makes me think that you haven't paid attention to these movies and how the Yautja really act, because they do have more character than you give them credit for. I just think that your fundamental understanding of the Predator overall as a creature, as a series, and like, I just think it's heavily flawed. But I think that's going to be it for now. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm lame and gay and weird? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, share it with your dog, your cat, your turtle, box turtle or sea turtle, doesn't matter which one. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.